Yeah, I guess we can start the session. Yeah, once again, good evening to one and all, and yeah, thanks for joining. Karthik here. So, I'll be your instructor for this Linux administration weekend batch. So, this is a batch which is running only on Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, and yeah, so the first thing is if you want to see the course content and as well as if you want to register. So this is an ease of like you just scan this QR code in your mobile and yeah, so it will redirect to the respective links. So this is for your PDF, which is like your course content, and this will be directly it will go to the registration link. Okay, so that's the thing. And if you want still having any issues or any support, you can reach out to these numbers and they will be available only from Monday to Saturday between 9 a.m. to some like the working hours, 9 to 7 p.m. And yeah, so please do join or click this link to join the group. Okay, so yeah, I will paste this link in the chat. So if you're not part of any of the Logic Labs previous groups or you're new to Logic Labs, right? So you can join this link, means this WhatsApp group link, and like why? Because we have only WhatsApp as a communication method. Like if the trainer or myself is not available or anything related to the training would be shared in that group. So please be part of at least one group. So if you're already part of any other group, also fine. But please do join our group only for this session. Okay. So please click on this link. I even sent in a chat. So click on that and join. Okay. So yeah. So what is the agenda of this session? So before that, let me introduce myself. So Karthik here. So I completed the RHCSA certification and like I have around 5 years of experience. And currently I'm working as a platform engineer in one of the MNCs. And yeah, so like typically I usually handle at least 7,000 to like around 10,000 range of servers. Some are in VM and in physical servers, but more or less, yeah, still Linux as well as even Windows Server I do manage. So yeah, so this would be the agenda or basic premise of the session. So or you can call it as a roadmap, right? So these are all the topics or the important topics which we must cover to in order for this to understand how Linux works or to gather a knowledge of basic to intermediate level. So that's our main goal, that we should not be a novice to like to Linux, as well as you should not be too advanced, because right away you if you are showcasing you are too advanced, it would be hard for you to, if you're already having knowledge, it's fine, but right away you can't gain too much knowledge since it is a whole operating system, right? So it would take some time, but gradually we will reach to that goal, right? So that's the thing. And yeah, so that's the main thing. And first thing is why RHCSA? Before going that, what is Linux? So let me give a basic understanding. What is Linux? So Linux is nothing but an operating system, as I already told. So what is the rival to Linux, right? So obviously, many would already know that your Mac OS is also there and your Windows, right? So Windows is a closed environment. So or closed operating system, you can call it as, and Linux is a open source. So, and open source to an extent. So not to like you can't modify everything, but you can, it will allow you to modify the core components. So there is a thing called as kernel, which is like almost like a heart of your OS, right? So that's the thing. So in tomorrow's session, we will be seeing actually the booting procedure. So once you see that, you will easily understand this, what is kernel and all. But as of now, like kernel is like the first thing your OS would look for. And this is the actual kernel. So let me show you the GitHub page for that. So this is the actual, the raw kernel of your Linux machine. So yeah, so each and every like let's say many would already know Ubuntu or some famous Linux distros, right? Ubuntu, we will see Red Hat, but many might not use Red Hat if you're not part of any companies, or like if you never worked in a company, you might have never even heard of Red Hat, right? But mostly you might have heard Ubuntu or Debian or CentOS, right? So that's the thing. So the this is the first thing it will try to boot, and this was coded by this guy called as Linus Torvalds. Okay, so yeah, this is what he founded, and why it is called as open source, right? So not only he did coded the what he only coded the kernel or the base kernel. So after that, so you see like around almost 15,000 contributors like came in from different places of the world and made their contribution as a engineer, and they coded the rest of the operating system. So it is a cumulative effort. That's the reason, and you can't say the same to your Windows, like Windows OS, right? So since it is a owned by Microsoft, obviously, so that's the main difference. And yeah, so that's the first thing you need to understand about basic Linux, that it's an open source and even you can create your own distribution or your own version of Linux. Okay, so we will see how many are there in upcoming session. But first thing is why we are focusing on RHCSA. So what is RHCSA or Red Hat in general? So Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or in short form, it is called as RHEL. So RHEL is an very important software, or Red Hat. They have been in the scene for quite some time, like at least 20 plus years. They have been the company has been established. It's been 20 years, and the best thing about Red Hat is that they do provide a competent OS for especially enterprise. So that's the key here, that so even Windows do have an enterprise version, but it is not that capable enough, and it can't compute like the compute power and many things. It will be bit how to say, underperformed. Okay, so that's the right word for this one. So it won't go use the full potential of your hardware. Okay, so whereas here it's like, since it is like almost every important configurations you can modify, right? So simply you can make or you can literally use the full potential of your system. That's the RHEL. And so Red Hat, let me go to their site as well. So yeah. So, like, what is Red Hat? So, Red Hat, as I told, so Linux, this code they took and they added their own security features, and they released their own version like 1999. So, during that year, they released their first version. And so, it is only focusing on the enterprise or the companies which, like MNCs and many companies, they will focus on. And it was successful. Okay, so now Red Hat has been acquired by IBM, and you have many features in Red Hat, and they are a very big MNC on their own, actually. Not under, like, since they are under the belt of IBM's, still they operate separately, and they have like their own even cloud service, like OpenShift is there, as well as your automation, like Ansible, you might have heard. So that also owned by Red Hat, and a lot of important services are owned by Red Hat. Okay, so that's the main thing. And how about RHCSA? So why specifically this certificate? And you have many certificates like LFCS, Linux Foundation certificate, that is, and many certificates are there. But why specifically RHCSA is? First thing, RHCSA is a practical exam or practical certificate, and the full form is Red Hat Certified System Administrator. right? Uh, it has its own credibility just because it is a practical exam, right? So you would, so there is literally zero MCQs, like just like you see MCQs in your almost every important cloud exams, right? So your AWS or GCP, at least 10 MCQ questions would be there. Whereas here, if you don't know how to perform those steps, you can't even answer that question. So that's good and bad at the same time, right? So if you didn't prepare or you don't know how to perform that or how it is operating, it will be hard for you to understand it or understand the question what they're requesting. Sorry, what they're asking in the exam. So that's how critical this exam is, and it's around 3 hours. And so that's what like our course would be revolving around this the syllabus of RHCSA, and not only that, it's like much more than that. But mostly we will see with the example question paper as well. Okay, so I will be giving you a link in a moment. So for that question paper, and as well as like the respective resources for the exams. Like if you want to appear for the exam, I will provide you the resources as well. But like I'm not assuring you that you would get the exact same question, but more or less it would be the same concepts you can expect. Okay, so anyhow, because we will see almost every important concepts of your like Linux or basic Linux, we will see the important concepts and few of the practical solutions, like let's say how to understand an issue, whether it is a hardware issue or how to diagnose an issue, right? So, and how to troubleshoot if that issue is persisting. So, this kind of things, it obviously it won't be asked in your exam since it is an entry level exam, but you can expect that. So, in this session, okay, so that's the thing. And yeah, so this is the syllabus part. So before going to that syllabus, let me now itself view that link. So just type bit.ly/Linux LL. Okay, so let me send this in the chat as well. So please do click this link and bookmark it. Okay, so just click on this bookmark and why? Because like anything related to our session, it will be like posted here. So that's the main reason I'm asking you to please do bookmark there, as well as so that's what like this is the question paper, right? So it is around 21 or 22. So you might get either 21 or 22 questions. And yeah, so almost every important topics we will be seeing. So like this roadmap which I shown, right? So first thing is your user management. So based on that, there is around 2 or 3 questions should be there. This is a user question, and this is a user question. So like that, user management is must for any operating system, right? So for end user like us, it is like we don't care much about the user management since we are the only person using the uh, system. Whereas in your work environment, obviously at least 10 plus people would use a single system or single server. It might be. So I might refer it as a system or server. Both are same at this point. Okay. So that's the thing. And yeah, so you must manage who can access which service or which, let's say, if a person can access a solution, whether he is allowed to access. So you need to create a access control in a way such it should be like kind of like a firewall or a walled garden setup, right? So you should be in a position to create that. So that setup you can do in your Windows as well as in Linux. It's much more easy for you to manage the users, and most companies prefer that as well. So that's the reason almost every like if you calculate there, so there was a survey in 2021 that it's around 93% enterprises are powered by Linux machines. So why? Because this kind of ease of access. So in Windows also you can, but the ease of access factor is bit less compared to Linux, right? So that's the main thing. And so the next thing is like in user management, we will see. So we will discuss the syllabus part in a moment. So after that, we will see the disk management, right? So once again, so as an end user, you won't care much about the disk, whereas in your enterprise, for a single gig, also they need to pay amount or pay some money to the vendor. So let's say the vendor might be like a famous one like Toshiba or like your WD or some famous vendors. So they will pay to them for their support, as well as they must buy that hard disk or a SSD, right? So that's the thing. So there the data is money, or data is value you should be considering, right? So you need to segregate for each and every application a certain like you need to partition it as such. It should be in an optimal way, right? So in your Windows, so in my case itself, I do have around 2 TB of disk, but I do have only two partitions, and it's like a bunch of or collective of files and like photos or videos, something like that. But we don't have our own segregation or partitioning, right? So obviously these two are partitions, but you get the point, right? So whereas in the work environment, you can't, like, it won't be like this setup. So it would be in a like only for application certain mount points. And what is mount point we will see in a like later session or in tomorrow session. But the point here is like it is very important topic, especially for enterprise. You must consider that disk management. Okay. And process management, it's an important topic. And we will see. So there is a lot to cover in process management, like how a service works, or how do different servers communicate, right? Like through SSH or the key-based authentication. So all those things we will be covering in the process management. And so like even firewall. So we'll see that, as well as the next one is your server troubleshooting. So this is what I told. So let's say if there is a server reboot or if something went wrong in that server, so you will have how to identify that. So you need to backtrack and identify the root cause of that issue, right? So those kind of things we'll be performing, or it's not part of the exam first thing. And it will be an interesting sessions on server troubleshooting. Okay. And lastly, we'll be seeing the basic networking. Why basic? In the sense networking itself is a separate subject altogether. So that's the reason we won't cover too deep in the networking. Obviously, you'll see the basics of how networking works and all, like how to like how to assign an IP, like static IP, how the DHCP is fetching the IP. So those kind of basic things we'll be discussing on the server point of view. That's the important word here. So on the server point of view, we will be seeing all those. Okay, so that's the different roadmap we'll be seeing, and much more than this. Okay, so not only these, but much more than these we will be seeing in our syllabus part. I will be explaining. So that's what like basic intro we will be seeing, as many would already know that Linux is all about commands or binaries. So even I would sometimes call it as binary or command, but both are same. Okay, so a binary or command, both are same. Okay, so don't confuse between both. And yeah, so we will see what is a binary and how it is communicating with the like in the shell, right? So that those all we'll be seeing. And first thing, like after the syllabus part, I will give you the link for the day. We will like after the syllabus, I will ask some doubts. If you have, if you don't, we will just I will give the link for you to install, and we will wind up today's session. Okay, so in tomorrow's session, we will be seeing, I will be showing you how to install in VMware, as well as any one of the cloud service provider. I'll be showing you in AWS as well as GCP. I didn't mention GCP, but we will see in GCP as well. Okay, and that's what, like, that's the first thing. You must have a working lab environment. So without that, you can't proceed further. Why? Because in my previous batches, many had a lab issue and they didn't brought it up or they didn't even dropped an email to me. But that's what, like, if you're facing any issues, please do reach out to me. So I will give my email ID at the last. And yeah, so please do reach out to me. And still issue persist, we can connect one-on-one using any desk. I will take control of your machine and we will fix that. Why? Because you must have a working lab setup. Without that, you can't proceed further, right? So it would be like just watching the videos. You can't practice. So that's the thing. And yeah, so that's the installation part. We'll see. Either today I will just show you how it works. In tomorrow's session, we'll see much further how to, like, how actually it installs. Okay. And tomorrow's session, we'll set up the whole labs also. So that's the thing. And your performance monitoring. So why performance monitoring, or why we need to monitor at the first, right? So once again, so in your work environment, you won't be running only one application or one DB, means database, right? So you will be relying on the same server for multiple instance or multiple databases, right? So that would create a spike in the your metrics. So what are all the metrics, or what are all the resources in your server? So it is called a system resources, and you have obviously CPU. So whatever you see in your Windows task manager, right? Those are all your resources. Disk, network, lastly GPU. Okay, so all these you might came across. Just right click task manager and you will see that. Okay, so yeah. So here, just go to the second one, performance, and you'd see the same metrics here, as well as you just go click on this three dots and go to resource monitoring. Here you would see much more info, right? So based on your usage. So that's and it's even a real time. Okay, so like that, you have many tools in your work environment, especially there is internal tools like this. So this is Task Manager or Resource Monitor is an internal tool of your Windows. For your Linux, you have many commands, right? So commands and all we'll discuss later. As of now, it won't make sense for you. So we will see for sure as a separate session for that. But as of now, I'll give some monitoring tools. So if there is a threshold, so obviously there would be a threshold set for, let's say if there is a spike in CPU and the CPU usage is more than 95%. So you would create a alert in that monitoring tool. So there are many famous monitoring tools like you have Dynatrace and Genos, ITRS, and many are there, right? So Grafana and ELK stack. So like that, the list goes on. But I will try to show you any one of these. And New Relic is like a free version. So New Relic or ELK are kind of open source. Even Grafana to an extent. So I will try to show you any one of the monitoring tool, how to set up your local machine and connect it to the monitoring tool and monitor the actual metrics like this, right? So in your task manager also you can, but to a certain extent, right? So you can't create an alert or it won't throw an alert email or such, right? So it's capable, but since it is for the end user, so no, like, or it's just for commercial use, not an enterprise use. These task manager, right? So in your enterprise, it would be a totally different realm. So that's the thing. So that's your performance monitoring, and it is an important topic as well. But we won't see right away these all, so we will see in later sessions. Okay. So the next one is obviously your user management. As I told, we will be doing the basic user management as well, like create, delete, modify, or manipulating the users in the server, as well as we will be performing like super user management or super user access. right? So what is your sudo access, like your privilege access? So those kind of important. So those things won't be there in your Windows. So mostly I will compare it with Windows so that you can easily relate to. But that's what, like some of these features won't be there in your Windows, and that's like that's also one of the reason people do tend to move or migrate to Linux mostly. Okay, so yeah, and you will see much more than these as well, like how like key-based authentication, how does the password-based authentication works. So those kind of things also you'll be seeing. Okay, and moving on. So the basic OS concepts as well, like what are all the basics operations level, like how to like the basic file manipulation, like copy, remove, move command. So these kind of basic commands we'll be seeing, as well as how to search a file, a text file especially, and once again like remote access. So there is a dedicated session only for your key-based authentication, because many do already use AWS or any one of the cloud service provider, and you might have seen they are using only key-based authentication, and there is a reason for it. So yeah, like many do use that, but still won't have an idea how actually it is communicated, right? So it is a very interesting and it is a huge topic actually. Like it encounters your cryptography and much more than that. But I will try to explain it in a simple way. Okay, so that's for your key-based authentication, as well as the basic operations, like includes your archive, creating an archive for old files or logs, and like, yeah, so this is for your basic file and directory manipulation, like create, delete, copy, move, and all, and hard link and soft link. So we'll see that. And the file permissions. So this is again an important one. And you would you must understand how the file permissions works, and what are all the special permissions, as well as UMask value. A lot of things we'll be seeing in the file permissions. Okay. And the next one will be your system administrator activities. So means what are all the basic activities you might encounter in your work environment. And so first thing, so in tomorrow's session itself, we'll be seeing the booting procedure. So obviously, as a sysadmin, you must know the booting procedure or the workflow. Sorry, the flow in which it will be booted, and if it is stuck in one section, you must be in a position to diagnose that or identify where it's stuck, right? So those kind of things in tomorrow's session we'll be seeing, and yeah, so that's what, like how to interrupt the booting process, and like if you like how to go to the emergency mode. So that's what this one is, as well as like as I told, how to identify your if there is a spike in your CPU or any one of the system metrics, sorry, resources, will be you should be in a position to identify it and kill it, right? So we'll see that. So these are all you'll see in the later sessions for sure, and how to tune your tune profiles uh, for your system, or specifically for your system, how it works, as well as we'll be seeing the server patching as well. So that one you'll see in the process management, server patching, as well as satellite patching. I will show you the commands and all how it works, but for satellite server we should pay for it. So yeah, I will show you how it works first thing, but yeah, in your work it will be obviously companies pay for the Red Hat, right? But we don't, and we should not actually as of now. So just for practice, right? So I will show you the important commands which we use in our environment, and you can go through that. Okay. So the next one is how to identify, or uh, how to understand a log file. That's an important skill. Why? Because that's how you, like in your work environment, you must understand how a log works or how to identify a log, right? So why? Because without that, you can't backtrack an issue because again, you won't monitor or you won't manage just one server, right? There will be thousands of server, and it there can be thousands of issues rise at the same time. Let's say if there is a data center outage or some major issue, right? So there will be outage or there will be alerts, thousands of alerts. So you should be in a position to, or your system should capture all the logs, or you should be set up. You should create that setup in your system so that it will capture all the logs. If something went wrong, also you can go back and see what went wrong at what exact time. So that's the main purpose of your logs, and we will see a lot of logs, by the way. And yeah, so that's the thing, and especially your journal logs and how to diagnose that, right? So once again, these are all VM missions we will be seeing. For physical missions, much more logs will be there. So I will try to provide you the examples or I will try to explain you the physical mission examples as well in logs especially. So that's the thing. And moving on, how to like again, so your service manipulation start, stop, and the state checking the status of in. I just mentioned network service. This is common for every service. Okay, so service which is running in your machine. So what is the services and all? So just in your Windows also, there will be lot of. So this is these eight services, or sorry, eight programs, which is your foreground process or service, right? So whereas if you scroll to the scroll and you see Windows processes and these all services, right? So these are all background services. Means it is running and it is the one responsible for some of the tasks. Like if you take DHCP client, so or some of the local systems. So in Windows, it will be bit like it would be hard for you to understand which service would be used, but mostly this task scheduler is the storage service. Obviously, you won't use that, but those services would be running no matter what, right? So since and if you turn off that service also, it will be coming back up if you didn't turn off like in manual mode or those kind of advanced features. If you didn't turn off there, still it will be back up within seconds. Okay, so those issue you won't face in your Linux especially. And if you face that also, how to diagnose those. So that also will be seen. Okay. And these are all the basic things like using SCP, you can means secure copy and how to transfer files between your different servers or internally also. You have many tools. The first thing is your copy command as well as SCPs for secure copy using SSH protocol as well as rsync. So like many tools we'll be seeing for transferring the files. Okay. And we'll so in user management, I didn't told you restricted user. So how to restrict the user to use only a specific mount. So what does that mean is like let's say if if you have a user let's say a user called as Tom, so he should only go to this F colon. So he should not have access to some other. Like he can't go inside C or D or E like that, right? So how to restrict him only to perform any operation related to, or he should have only access to this mount point or this partition only, right? So that's the restricted user. As well as there is one more restriction you can create you can only provide certain commands to a certain let's say for let's say 10 users or certain groups, right? So that also can be done. So speaking of groups, you have group management as well. So that is also an important in the user management topic as okay. So that's the thing. And that's what, like many I didn't mention, but we will be seeing while we see those topics. Like while we see the privilege access, we will see how to restrict the access as well. So those kind of things. Okay. So yeah, moving on. So these are all comes under your disk management. Okay. So what is, as I told, disk management is like very important, especially for enterprise, since it should not be a chaotic environment, right? So uh, obviously, like a lot of applications will be running in the same server, but it should be in a easy way so that each team would use specific mount points or specific partitions. There won't be a clash, or they should not encounter an issue specifically in disk management. So many companies go to an extent and do a lot of things, especially disk management, and it is a continuous work as well. So it means they would run out of space, right? So not they in the sense any application or backup team, DB team, all other team other than sysadmin, right? So you are the only person who has the access to provision those like the disks, new disks, or extend the existing one, right? So like that's what, like you will have a lot of work, especially related to disk management, and it is one of the most important sessions. So 2 or 3 sessions we would at least two sessions we will have, especially for disk management. Okay. And so the important concept here is LVM, which is logical volume management. And so I just mentioned LVM, but we will see how to uh, format or everything. I might have mentioned in the next slide. Yeah, how to format it to a specific file system format, and how to mount it. And these are all some of the advanced LVM concepts like status and video. So it is a separate service as well. Okay, and that's what. So that's the disk management, and that's what, if you have any issues in mounting the disk and a lot of things, we will be seeing those as well. Okay, so moving on, here security. So this is the factor which will be a controversial one, especially when it comes to your Windows or Windows versus Linux, right? So which is secure. So people tend to like prefer a secure environment, especially in enterprise, right? So that's what, like many do claim that, and it is true that Linux has much more success rate, especially when it comes to security, since many hacker or adware um, creators don't prefer Linux, since like it is a bit complex, as well as easily you can revert it, or you can send a patch that it will be how to say, you can easily remediate that, right? So that's the uh, one major advantage of Linux. And yeah, so once again, like how the key based authentication works, as well as your firewall setup, right? So firewall along with the SE Linux. So both you will be seeing in a single based on in your exam also, you this is an important topic, so you can expect that. And yeah, so we'll see firewall settings or how to set up your firewall, as well as your SE Linux. So XE Linux is your secure Linux, and we'll see that. And so this is what I told, restricting user with limited set of commands. So these all we'll see in the security part, and much more than that. So just basic thing I gave. And so the last thing is your networking. So that's what, like how the basic networking, like configure the IPv4 or static IP, and like static route in your mission, as well as how to troubleshoot if there is if that service is went down or something, right? So those kind of things we'll be seeing in the networking part, like using netstat or some commands are there to monitor which service is listening which port. So those things we'll see, as well as lastly containers. Okay, so containers. So you might have came across a container called as Docker, right? Or you might have heard Docker, and it is a famous, or they pioneered this container concept. But yeah, so Red Hat has their own container solution, which is called as um, Podman. Okay, so Podman will be seen. So all these we'll see in the Red RHEL server only. So not some other OS. So only we will install RHEL mission in our like VM or any cloud service provider. But yeah, so we'll see containers as well. And lastly, this VMware vSphere I did install, or I did already install in my machine. So I'll show you how to install. This one will be at the last of the session. Okay, so I'll be showing you how to install VMware vSphere in your machine, and it is a hardware specific as well. So we will see that. Okay, so if not, I will anyhow show it in my machine, because this version only it will be used in your work environment. So not the one which we will use, which is like a commercial one, VMware Workstation Pro or VMware Fusion for Mac users. Okay, so that's the thing. So with that would sum up our syllabus. So as of now, it might be a lot to take in, but it's a like till intermediate level you'll be seeing. And once you're done with our session, so you will be eligible to apply these roles. So system administrator, obviously, you will be right away you can apply for Linux sysadmin, as well as you can, or like this would be a foundational knowledge for your DevOps or SRE engineer. Okay, so these two roles. So why DevOps? And many might have like have interest in DevOps, right? So that's what, like if you want to know, or if you want to pursue DevOps as a career, or DevOps engineer as a career, many tools you in your work environment, it will be used as a CLI, means command line interface. So you'll see those things as well. So yeah, CLI, and like those CLI commands almost main, like at least 80 to 90% it will be already in your Linux machine. So if you already have Linux knowledge, remaining tools will be very easy for you to understand, at least, right? So that's the main reason Linux is like a foundation, especially for your, or it will create a foundation for your these two roles, especially. And you can even apply, or if you are no, and sorry, if you are ready to um, pursue platform engineer as well, so you need to learn some more, like not only Linux, you need to understand networking or some of the advanced networking topics, as well as containers, some few DevOps tools, and you can apply for platform engineer. So some companies do list the obviously job description. You can see if that platform is right for you, and you can survey that. Obviously, you can apply for that role as well. And it is depends on the company as well, right? So I am currently as a platform engineer in my company. So that's the, it depends on the job requirement. So that's the main thing, or like only these roles you will be like eligible, as well as this is a very important role. So DevOps, and it's not a buzzword anymore. So many companies already migrated, or almost they are done, right? So migrating to the DevOps environment. So there is a lot of job vacancies even during this tough time. So please do pursue, um, sorry, please do understand Linux and pursue DevOps, right? So a lot of things you need to consider, especially if you want to pursue DevOps engineer. But Linux would be a very important thing, especially. Yeah. So any doubts, guys, like in the syllabus part? So please do let me know if you have any doubts, like any topics. Yeah, like if you want much more to be discussed. So yeah. So yeah, and it is not a free session, guys. So it is a paid one. So the first two sessions means today and tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll install and we'll see the booting procedure. So you can go through these two recordings as well as uh, the YouTube channel. Just a sec. Let me open the YouTube channel of Logic Labs, and you can go through my previous lectures, and you will get an idea how my training would be. And if you find it easy to understand, you can enroll for the session. Okay. So yeah, yeah. So you do this is around like 13th batch, I think it would be. So yeah, lot of demo sessions would be there. So I'll just send my this in the channel. So you can go through that link and see one of my. So there is one more trainers lectures also is there, and yeah, so you can go through that. And yeah, so I would. This is for the weekdays batch, and weekend I might have covered. So just a sec. Yeah, yeah. So this is for my. My- So there is a lot of videos. So that's the thing. But yeah, so I would cover the weekend batches or the recordings of that would be here. Yeah, like this. No, this is for Sonika. Yes. So yeah, you would find the demo sessions in the YouTube channel. You just go through that and yeah, you can enroll for the session. And the course fee or the duration first thing it would be around. Actually, it is 10 days. So I didn't edited that actually. So it is 10 days for weekend. So it's like 20 hours. Okay, so 20 means minimum 20 hours. It will maximum it would take at least 25. So previous batch I did took around 25 hours, and like a lot of doubts they did ask in my previous batch. So that's also one of the reasons it was extended. But yeah, so that's the thing. And each session it is 2 hours. So I didn't edit these things, but yeah, the course fee is like it's like 4K in Indian rupees and $48. Okay, and this is the drive link. So you can just the same drive link only it will be. So this is the one. Okay, and for tomorrow's session, please. So first thing, if you don't like want to go to that slides, so you just type this one. So bit.ly bit.ly/linuxll. Okay, so that would land in this page, and both are same links by the way. Okay, so yeah, so anything related to or all the resources that will be uploaded here means not your notes, all the resources related to our session it will be uploaded here, and you have the operating system as well. So yeah, so please go inside this first directory ISO and VMware and download the last two. So VMware Workstation Pro .exe. So this is for your Windows users. Okay. So I hope many would be a Windows user. So yeah. So please do type in chat if you're a Mac user, because that's a different thing, and I will give you a link separately for that. So it is called as VM Fusion. So you need to install that instead of VMware Workstation Pro. And if you're already familiar with VirtualBox, you can use that as well. It's your choice, but you should have a working lab environment. That's the main thing. And this is for the people who are having at least these are all the basic system requirements. Okay, so you should have at least one CPU or one core CPU and 4 gigs of RAM is your memory, and yeah, this that obviously you will have at least 20 gigs, right? So 20 GB of hard disk, and that's it. So we have these all. We like you, and still if you want to like to use this one, so you can use this way, or if you don't want to install anything, or you can't, like let's say many do use your own, sorry, your company's laptop, right, or your enterprise laptop. So in that case, you can, um, sorry, yeah, you can install, not install, yeah, you can install your VM in your AWS or GCP. I'll be showing you that, so don't worry about those as well. Okay, so that's the thing. And yeah, please, since it is a huge file, so please download this ISO separately. Means don't select both and download. So if you do that, it will be performing the zip, and that would take time since it is a huge file. So just do select each separately and do download. It will download separate. Okay, so that's the first thing. And if you're having issue downloading these, you can download via torrent. So torrent file, you just so I even included the okay. So I hope many might already know how to download via torrent. If not, you just type uTorrent, and this is a torrent client, by the way. So click on free download, and once you download it, you can download this file, and it will be opened in that torrent, like the peer-to-peer software. Okay, so that's the, because I didn't included uTorrent here since it is like a this executable will violate and it won't download in most cases. So that's the reason I didn't include that. So please drop an email if you're having doubts in like downloading via torrent. Okay, so if you why, because since it is a huge file, it's around almost 10 gigs, right? So many don't have that stable internet, and it might be fail. And from first again, it will start downloading. So that's hard, right? So again, you need to download. So that's the reason you can pause or resume in your torrent. So that's an easy way. So both are same file as well. So that's also pretty. So is there any doubts? Okay, so please make sure you download these two files if you want to practice the lab session in your local machine, or if you want to practice in the cloud, we will see in the tomorrow session. Okay, so yeah. So any doubts, anyone? So this is the mail ID. You can drop mail to me at any time. And any payment related issue or any portal issue, you can reach out to the respective support team. So which I given at the first slide, right? So you can reach out to them. So drop an email to them. They would respond to you during this working hours. Okay. So yeah. So any doubts, anyone in the syllabus part? If not, we can wind up the session. Yeah. So please download these two files, and you will see in the tomorrow at the same time. So tomorrow we'll have 2 hour session, and we will see booting procedure as well as much more. So because we can set up today as well, but yeah, we will set up. So because you need to download these, and so please download, and if you face any issue, do drop an email. We will connect and fix that issue. Okay. So, yeah. So that's it for the day then. Thanks all. Thanks for your time.